New at 5:30, travel is on the rise once again, and with the summer starting, there's new concern over an industry-wide pilot shortage.
8 News reporter Olivia JAQUITH joins us from Richmond International Airport to show us what this could mean for travelers out of Central Virginia.
Yeah, well, I spoke with a former pilot who was actually one of thousands who went into early retirement as bookings for airlines nearly stopped during the height of the pandemic. He says major airlines are now pulling from regional carriers and that nearly half of the pilots currently in service today are expected to retire in the next 10 years.
As Breeze Airways celebrates 1 year in Richmond, the airline industry is facing a new challenge: pilots taking off from the cockpit.
There's about 300 airplanes that are parked in the United States that don't have pilots to fly them.
CEO David Nealman says as a relatively new airline, this isn't an issue impacting Breeze, but more so regional airlines.
There was a pilot shortage that was created. The big airlines, they use part of their money from the government to early retire about 7,000 pilots. And then they kind of realized they shouldn't have done that. And so they've been going to the regional airlines and hiring from those.
Breeze is just one of 8 major carriers in Richmond. Delta declined our request for an interview, but says the airline is adding several hundred new pilots working to hire and train to support growth. A spokesperson for Southwest says there's no pilot shortage on their end and that they even had 3,000 applicants for just 120 first officer positions hired last year. Meanwhile, the CEO of American Airlines says they're hiring 2,000 pilots this year, a training undertaking that former pilot Mike Hatton says can take about 4 years.
Southwest has been affected. JetBlue has parked some airplanes, cut their schedule.
But if the pilot shortage reaches a critical point, could there be a reduction in the number of them in the cockpit? Nealman says that's a ways off.
This industry has belt and suspenders always, and so having the technology to let the planes fly themselves, but also having not just 1 but 2 pilots in the cockpit. But you may see it one day where you have someone on the ground and someone in the plane, and they're both monitoring the flying.
Now, Hatton tells me he's hopeful the industry will stabilize by the end of next year or the middle of 2024. But in the meantime, with planes parked and less supply, he says prices are expected to go up. Reporting from Richmond International tonight, Olivia JAQUITH, 8 News.